In the election 2016 segment tonight, Donald Trump's softening on illegal immigration. Last night, Trump gave new details about how he'd handle illegal immigrants in the country.
They'll pay back taxes. They have to pay taxes. There's no amnesty as such. There's no amnesty.
Right.
But we work with them. Now, okay, but when I look at the rooms, and I have this all over, now, everybody agrees we get the bad ones out. But when I go through and I meet thousands and thousands of people on this subject, and I've had very strong people come up to me, really great people come up to me, and they've said, Mr. Trump, I love you. But to take a person that's been here for 15 or 20 years and throw them and the family out, it's so tough, Mr. Trump. I mean, I have it all the time. It's a very hard thing.
Trump is appearing to back away from his previous calls to deport all illegal immigrants from the country, but will this have a positive impact with his voters? Joining us now with reaction from Washington, Chris Wilson, former advisor to the Cruz presidential campaign, along with Jack Kingston, a senior advisor to the Trump campaign. To start with you, Chris, your thoughts on this. Now, look, I heard Donald Trump right there in that soundbite say this isn't about amnesty. But, you know, in this sense, is amnesty only about citizenship? Talk to me.
Well, it's what it is, as I understand what the Trump campaign is trying to do. They're trying to soften the rhetoric. They're trying to pivot for a general election, and I get that. But the challenge I think exists here is the promises that Donald Trump made during the primary and what that is now becoming for the general election. And this is what's wrong with politics. And frankly, it's why Donald Trump is the nominee, is because the Republican primary electorate was so tired of electing people who promised something when they ran for office and then pivoted into a softer position in the general election, or even worse, did nothing at all once they got elected. And Trump campaigned against that. He took strong stands against it. He did a great job of tapping into a very angry Republican primary electorate, but now he is doing exactly what the people who elected him were angry about, which is changing that position. And whether you agree it's the right position or the wrong position, I think politically it's probably a smart thing for him to do.
Well, so why isn't that good enough then? I mean, if politically the right decision, you'd want to go with the politically correct decision, wouldn't you?
Well, no, not necessarily. I think sometimes you make a promise to voters, and there's value in living up to that. And that's what Senator Cruz said toward the end, is that Donald Trump was fooling the voters. He was trying to take the brand and slap his brand on the political process the same way he did in water and steaks and wine and everything else. And it falls apart. And that's what happened here, is the promises he made to the Republican primary electorate are now falling apart.
Is Chris right in saying that he came out with a platform early in the campaign and he has to stick with it all the way through the general election?
Well, I think he is sticking with it. I think he's been consistent on a couple of very important points. Number one, enforcing existing laws, which, by the way, is going to dry up the job magnets, because that also means the employers have to quit hiring illegals. Number two, he's been very consistent about a wall, maybe not bricks and mortars, but a wall that will keep people from coming into the border illegally. And number three, no amnesty, which is perhaps the biggest issue with the Republican base. Hillary Clinton is a pro-amnesty person. And then another part of this is protecting American jobs, because he has said repeatedly that illegals undercut the wage scale.
Everyone says that, though. That's pretty consistent along the GOP. The line is that illegals take jobs away from Americans. But talk to me, Jack. You just said something, kind of two things. You said provocatively that not necessarily bricks and mortar wall. I'm under the, I do this for a living here, and I thought it was a bricks and mortar wall, number one. And number two, when you say no amnesty and you let illegals stay, isn't that a form of amnesty?
Well, let me address the wall first. As you know, the wall has been voted on many times for many years by members of the House. It's been killed in the Senate, but I think in some areas it is totally sufficient to have a cyber wall. But he has been pretty consistent about a wall. So I don't think he's backing off of that whatsoever. Number two, on amnesty, he's saying no amnesty. So, but he's also saying let's do this in a humane and orderly way. So he wants to get the bad actors out. And start with them and then move down the line. And I think without the jobs here, because you're enforcing existing laws, you're going to have less motivation for people to want to come here or to stay here, because the laws say you can't be here.
Right. Chris, I'm going to take a little issue with you here, because look, you guys on the left, or on the left, but also the no Trump people have said, look, he can't. He's doing it wrong. This is too hardcore for the GOP. The GOP needs to encompass more diversity. And now he says, I'm at least thinking about softening my stance. And now you don't like it this way either.
Well, first of all, let me be clear. I'm not never Trump. I would love to be able to vote for Donald Trump. What I can't vote for is someone who takes a position on an issue in a primary
what is
and
it,
changes
Chris?
that.
You just said, I'd like to vote for Trump. So what's the issue with Trump that you can't vote for him?
I don't think
it was immigration.
Now, what's
left?
Because I don't think he's a conservative. I think he did exactly what he was accused of doing in the primary when he did the secret meeting with the New York Times that was taped, and that it was leaked that he made the comment that this is all an act. In the general election, if I get elected president, I will never actually do this. I won't build a wall. I won't enforce these immigration laws. This is all just something I'm saying because I have to win a primary. And to me, that is what is wrong with politics. It's if that is how Donald Trump won the nomination under false pretenses, no, he shouldn't be elected president.
All right, we're going to have to leave it right there, gentlemen. Thank you very much. When we come right back.